Now, you might have thought with farmers' rebellions right across Europe, the EU would be focused on that, but apparently not, no. Instead, we've got more threats directed towards Brexit Britain. Of course, we know that some are still absolutely obsessed with this idea of the UK rejoining the EU. Some in the EU still talking about that one day happening. We know that there is still interference in terms of British policy because we've seen private warnings being issued by the EU to the UK government against an attempt to bypass the ECHR. And we're now hearing on this approach, backed, by the way, by a majority of voters, to force a minimum level of service during industrial action. The YouGov poll there for the Times found that voters actually backed that by 56 to 31%, allowing ministers to force a minimum level of service in schools, emergency services and the rail network during strikes. However, for some reason, the EU has decided to try and get involved in this with the usual approach, of course, of making threats, accusing the UK of potentially breaching the Brexit deal, that could even see the EU try and put extra tariffs on UK exports. The EU apparently expressing concern on the compliance of this legislation, with British officials saying that the approach is compliant because it does not have an impact on trade or investment with Europe. But not good enough for the EU. They're not satisfied with the explanation and apparently looking into further action. David Jones, former Brexit minister there, saying it's about time that the EU recognise that the economic difficulties they are currently experiencing will continue unless there is reasonable regulation of industrial regulations, saying fortunately their rules don't apply in the UK, but there is no doubt they would be adopted if Labour were to win the next election. And the real kicker here that makes this look even more pathetic from the EU side is that 4 countries, including Germany, France, Spain and Italy, actually themselves have minimum service level laws. You can see the sort of response on this Telegraph story from Paul, the top commenter on that story in the Telegraph website, saying the EU still thinking they control the UK. If we had a government that had a backbone, they would tell them where to go. Well, let me know what you make of this threat from the EU, guys. I will keep bringing you all the latest on this and more, of course. So please do whack this video a quick thumbs up. And of course, as ever, cheers for watching.